Hey Tim, how are you? It's good to see you.
Good. Thank you so much, Hugo.
Hey, I appreciate that you're with me and Destino, and I really wanted to talk about your work on specifically Leanne. And I know you guys are picked up for another season, so I would love to hear your name and what you do.
My name's Tim Mallory. I am the prop master of Leanne, the sitcom for Warner Brothers Television and on Netflix now, streaming.
Yeah, exactly. And I would love to know what is it like for you, specifically for a new show like Leanne? What was it like on the pilot for you to get ready for something like that?
Well, we were fortunate enough to have a show with Chuck Lorre Productions, and there was actually no pilot, but a solid order for,
Oh.
a full season. So the first episode was the pilot, but it was just the beginning of multiple episodes to follow. So we just, got a script and broke it down and realized what props were needed to make the rehearsals begin and pressed forward from that point.
Right, exactly. And what is it like for you and your team? Can you let me know who is your support team on Leanne?
Well, on Leanne, I work with Sam Houston and Dana McCall, and together we worked on a 5-day system shooting the show. We'd rehearse Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, doing run-throughs at the end of each day for the producers and the network, and then we would do some blocking on Thursday and shoot Friday nights in front of a live audience. So for our prop team, it was basically breaking down the script, figuring out what props each actor needed for the specific scenes and provide them for rehearsals. And each day after rehearsals, when we do our run-throughs, uh, the producers would give us notes on the props, and some of them would change from day to day, others would remain the same. And usually on Wednesday, when we do our network run through for Netflix, we try to have the actual props we wanted to film with in the rehearsal and run through so that everyone could see what we're going to use. If they liked what they saw on the run through, then we'd proceed to filming and use the actual props that we had used that day.
Right, and what are some of the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome those?
I think the most challenging thing was, multi-camera shows, they tend to change the script on a daily basis and make adjustments, and sometimes it ends up being props. So one day it'll be, you know, um, a computer she's looking at, and the next day they'll change it to a magazine. So in that situation, it'll go from having to have some images on a screen on a computer to actually creating a uh, magazine with the same stuff or similar items that can be looked at. So two different mediums with maybe the same content. So sometimes that can be a challenge.
Right, and what are some of the other departments that you collaborate with the most?
Well, in property, you're part of the art department, and on any television production, the whole art department usually works together to put together the total package. So you're working with the production designer, the art director, the set decoration department, and the set dressers. And, all of those different items kind of meld together when you're putting together a scene. And so I'd work with all those departments. And then we interact, of course, with wardrobe, which is a big, all the actors have specific wardrobe they wear in every scene. And if I'm going to give them watches or glasses or personal stuff, we usually tend to run it by wardrobe to make sure they like the look of things, so that our main objective is that everybody looks their best on camera.
Right, and who is it that has final say on, let's say, the look of a mug or if they're holding up a t-shirt or something like that? Who do you turn to for that?
Usually on the multi-camera shows, we leave those decisions up to the director. And the director's usually in charge of making decisions. And then when we do our network and run throughs for the producers each day. If any of them don't like something, they usually speak up. So those are the times we get the small changes. So for me as the prop master, being present at the run, we basically rehearse the whole show every day and we try and do a run through of every scene in order like it would be on show night. And so it's important for me to be there because usually after that, all departments get notes from the producers and the writers. And it's not just property, it's set deck, wardrobe, and also the director gets notes. And that's where the final changes get made.
Yeah, and like you said, on a show like Leanne, which you guys got a full order, how much prep time do you have to get started on the next episode?
Well, it varies. Usually we'll have the script 1 week ahead of time, but sometimes not necessarily so. Sometimes as the season progresses, we won't get it until maybe 2 or 3 days ahead of time. So that's when the crunch time happens, and we end up having to come up with the props quickly, sometimes over just a weekend, which can be difficult. But worst case scenario, if you have a first day of rehearsal on a Monday, we will provide the actors with things similar to what we like to use so that they can practice rehearsing. It may not be the actual prop that will go on camera, but as long as it represents what's written, we let them use different items until we can provide the actual piece we'd like to use.
How do you decide how many options or how many different looks of a prop do you show them?
That's a good question. Well, there's an old saying in Hollywood, I'm an older prop master. I'm 57. I've been doing it a long time. I'm no young buck, but the one thing I learned early on that in prop, one is none. So you never have just one. We always have multiple choices. I like to start with three of important props. I like to give the director three different choices, and usually that works out. A lot of times when you get younger people or even writers that aren't real confident at like placing a prop into you know, how it'll be in the scene. If you give them too many choices, it can be overwhelming. So I shoot for three and sometimes a little more, but even if I have more choices, I will pick my favorite three and present those to them and have 4, 5, and 6 on backup if they don't like any of the choices I provide.
How do you navigate when the prop is borderline, let's say, with costumes or set deck? How do you deal with that and with those departments?
We communicate together early on about it. We decide uh, how the prop overlaps, who wants, to decide the look and the feel of it, and we decide together about also the finance of it, because everybody's got to pay. Sorry about that. Everybody's got to pay for their own departments, but we definitely communicate together, and sometimes we'll even split the cost of items if it overlaps specifically, and help each other to deliver the best product. On Chuck Lorre's production, it's notorious for making sure that the details are specific, and he's all about the details. And so we work hard to try and give him choices.
And specifically for a sitcom, it's very fast paced. So, what are the outlets or the sources that you rely on most for props?
Well, there's a lot of different prop rental houses, including right on the studio lot where we're at, Warner Brothers. And because we're a Warner Brothers show, we get to pull anything from that prop house free of charge. So I go there every episode and pull anything and everything that might work for any of the scenes because it's free of charge. Why not, right? And sometimes they may not choose those items, but I always get them regardless. And then I tend to source out other prop houses. There's quite a few here in Los Angeles. And I also purchase stuff, different types of stores, outlets, vendors, whatever it takes to find the specific item that's scripted.
When it comes to the script, what are the key things that you look for to give you an idea of what that prop needs to be?
Um, Basically, when I break down a script, I put, I write down each scene and I list the actors that are in each scene. And then I write, I try and take note of anything they touch or interact with. That's what the props are. A prop is anything that actor touches or interacts with, and that be food, drink, telephone, computer, personal items, and I basically break it down like that. And once I get those items down in my notes, I try to think outside the box and say, okay, if they're on the computer and they're researching something, would they have a pad and paper for some additional notes, or a cup of coffee, or a magazine, or a stack of a little bowl with a snack of food in it? As a prop person, you have to think about what other items may play naturally into situations and go beyond just the scripted props.
Well, with that being said, what made you want to work in entertainment?
Um, I always enjoyed art myself. And to be honest, um, I went to school for theater actually and ended up getting involved with building sets for the theater shows and the dance concerts at the school I went to. And it seemed like a natural progression for me to get into art department. So I set off on that journey and it's been a good one.
Did you have any mentors or people that you look up to when you were starting out?
Um, when I started out, um, my mentor for prop being a prop master was Bucky Moore, and he's retired today, but he's a legendary prop master. He had a long career in both television and film, and he helped me to learn a lot about what it takes to provide an actor with the right props and how to think outside the box. So, thank you, Bucky.
For those people that are looking to get into props, what kind of things do you suggest they do to network and to meet the right people?
Yeah. Well, it's a tough one, because what the show I'm on is a union production. So, getting the union these days is not as easy as it used to be. Um, so I suggest getting involved with non-union projects where you can get some experience in the prop department. And if you have no experience whatsoever, you can work as a production assistant on a film or a production. And oftentimes, the producers will allow production assistants to help specific departments. And that's kind of how I broke into the prop department, by working as a PA and requesting that my boss, the production coordinator, let me work with the art department.
Yeah, that's great. And what was the turning point for you? What project really helped you kind of launch your career?
Well, I started out in commercials, and when I did start in commercials, it was a non-union job. Commercials had not joined the Local 44, which is the union I'm in right now. And so I was lucky because when Local 44 asked commercials to join the union, all I had to do was 30 days and I was in. So I got lucky. But the turning point for me working in television props was a project I got hired on, CSI Miami. So, you know, I got hired on that show and worked as an on-set prop person for 10 years doing 237 episodes.
Wow, well, congratulations, Tim. And I know we met early on at Warner Brothers, and it's
You
been really
did.
inspiring to see you on the lot and seeing your work on screen as well.
I'm really grateful that you and I have remained friends for all these years and had that early connection when we were both on our journey. And you are a true artist yourself, and I respect and appreciate you for that, and appreciate you asking me to speak with you.
Oh, I appreciate you, Tim. Thank you for saying that, and I appreciate the conversation, and thank you for your help on this.
My pleasure. Don't be afraid to chase your dreams. If it's not scary, it's not worth pursuing. All
That's right. That's how I see it myself. Thank you, Tim.
right.